travel. I think we are live now, but I'm in Bangalore. I will be traveling a little later tonight, but I wanted to do this session first. So
So
we are
glad. So
here and
glad.
everywhere, right? So I think we are live. So I want to welcome the audience that I'm sure are excited about today's session. Ghazal Alagh, of course, is a self made powerhouse. I love how she is fierce, authentic, but most importantly, unapologetically herself. And Ghazal, you have not just built brands, but really belief for so many women, and of course, men too, but who look at you and think she has it all. But I know that, having it all means different things to different people. Love to hear and discover your version today on what it took to make it all happen from scratch. And Ghazal, I'm so honored you're on this because I know you're a true inspiration for entrepreneurs everywhere. So, very excited to have you on this session of marketing from scratch. Welcome, Ghazal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vani. This is a very, very warm welcome. By the way, just to tell you, even before I started, you've been my inspiration for a long, long, long time. So, how do you be unapologetically you is something I think that I've picked up from you. I've seen your interviews. Even before I started the company, if there were like five women that I looked up to, you were on that list right up there. So it's an honor for me to have this conversation with you today. And you're right. Like I do get a lot of messages which say that it feels like you have it all. And how do you do it? And my one line answer to that is the definition of having it all means being uncomfortable with not being perfect in every aspect of your life and being okay with it, right? That's the only way you can chase multiple things in your life. Till the time I think you have your priorities clear and you're making progress on some of those priorities, it could be personal and professional both. Um, just that progress part of it should give you that comfort, is what I feel. And being okay with that, and being okay with not being perfect, is another skill that it took me almost 5 years to get there, because I feel as women we are always chasing perfection in whatever we do, and in that quest we actually lose a lot of time which might not be leading to any progress but more procrastination and more waiting and more getting to that perfect point rather than making progress each day. So I had to learn it the hard way. I had to learn it when my health went for a toss, when work started feeling like a burden, when family time meant more commitment and taking time out of work, which made me uncomfortable. And then coming to a situation where I said that, you know what, all of these discomforts are okay.
Mm.
One week I will go aggressive at work, the other week I might prioritize my family. My health, if I want to be everything at the same time, my health needs to be at the topmost priority, and that is something that I'm going to chase. So yeah, like that is how you feel that she has it all, but she never really has it all.
But Ghazal, everybody hearing you out there has a question, which is a whole podcast by itself. What is it that you think is not perfect? Because we won't go into that today, but from outside in,
Yeah.
everything that I see and I'm sure others see is perfect because you do everything with such excellence. But what I want to get back to, Ghazal, is of course everybody knows the story of how you founded Mamaearth based on a deep personal need that you saw for your children and your child, your first child. And then, of course, the beginning of anything, however beautiful or necessary, the idea is never easy. And you have, of course, shown what deep passion for something as a beginning can turn into a big success. But one of the things for most founders is how big should I imagine it? Sometimes you feel like if you think about it too big, then you're overconfident or arrogant or unrealistic. But if you think too small, then it's just a lifestyle. So when you started in those very, very early days, how big did you think this would become?
If I have to be very, very honest and hand on my heart, uh, I did not think big enough.
Mm,
I always had, I think from when we started out, Varun and I, who's also my co founder, my husband, we always thought that if we are able to get to 100 crore mark and make the brand grow into 100 crore franchisee, we would have like made it really big. And that was the dream. And that was something that we were chasing. And to be very honest, we, between the two of us, laughed about it. That we're talking about 100 crores, like, do you know how it looks? Do you know how many zeros it has? Like, okay, we are talking about it, but we know that we are not really thinking about how to go about it. And even at that time, I think one of the things that we did, and eventually it worked for us, it works for us even today, is breaking that larger vision into smaller stepping stones and goals. Not
mm,
thinking about 5 years out immediately, but thinking about, okay, what does the next 6 months for me look like? What does the next 1 year look like? Then go to 2 years. And until about, I think, 4 5 years back, we never had a vision before beyond 2 years. We always said, पहले यहाँ तक पहुँचते हैं, फिर देखेंगे और क्या करना है. So let's just chase
mm,
this smaller milestone first. Let's just get ahead by one step at a time and see where do we land. And that actually really helped, because as you start achieving one step at a time and the goals become more realistic, when you start feeling
mm,
that, okay, this is achievable, then ultimately you're able to think big. Because this is
mm,
also an exercise for the mind muscles, right? It's not like we, and if we take like very big goals at the start itself, which is also something that we have done, and we're not able to match up to it, you actually feel demotivated as a founder, and then there are thousand doubts that come to you. Why did it not work? We give up. So my mantra, I think, today is don't get too bothered about how to achieve that vision. Have a
mm,
stringent plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A, if everything moves in
mm,
the right direction. If two things don't move in the right direction, what is plan B? What is plan C? What is plan D? But have it for the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, and 2.5 years. And once you start achieving your next 6 months, then you move forward your goal by another 6 months. I think that
mm.
trajectory even today works. It helps you give you're actually chasing clarity more than just superficial goals, in my view, and that clarity helps you achieve the right kind of milestones at the right time, is what I feel.
You and Varun are in the hollowed halls because any great company started really succeeding on climbing that ladder one step at a time. And in fact, of course, Nvidia now crossing the 4 trillion valuation mark, huge. He said when he started the company, he started it with $40,000 and said it's a high risk, zero probability of success, and maybe we will get to 40 million in revenue or something like that. So I think you are in wonderful hollowed halls. Start small but grow your dream bigger and bigger with every success, right? So that's amazing. But I want to sit in the early days because that's really where the valley of death or the chasm or the most vulnerability, the many self doubts exist for founders. So I kind of want to sit there for a little bit in understanding your insights and thoughts. So from those early days, which there's a lot on how hard it was and all of that, what are though the fondest memories? Because our hardest times also give us some of the fondest memories and nostalgia. So when all of that was going difficult, what kept you? What were the things that kept you?
Okay, so I have, Vani, come to a realization that actually founding days probably might be easier than the years to come. Uh, Scaling, I mean, I just very strongly now feel, because the kind of problems that we were dealing with then, at least we knew that, okay, if we are at it, we'll find a solution. You know that, and at every stage, I think as founders, you're always crowded with thousand doubts around yourself, your business, your hypothesis, your ideas, and they never leave you. I
mm,
am now trying to find peace and make friends with those doubts and say that, okay,
mm,
rather than me trying to say that, oh, you are bad and you trying to tell me that I'm bad and not worth it, let's make friends with each other and let's see how can we deal with it. Because they don't leave you at any point in time. I think it's just our own comparison metric, our own ecosystem continues to change, our own benchmarks continue to change, and at every stage there are different challenges that come. But I think early days, the excitement, it's, as they say, one feeling helps you overcome another feeling. The feeling of excitement to prove yourself and to get to that product market fit, to talk to those consumers, to get those early messages on what are they feeling about something that's an inception stage in your mind. That feeling actually supersedes some of these feelings of self doubt and would I be able to do it or not, is what I feel now. Of course, back in the time, I did not feel like that, and I felt it was very
mm,
tough, and getting through conversations, just getting through people, was the toughest thing. Because people don't even want to talk to you, let alone believing or listening to your idea. They are just they see you as, who are you, or why should we be investing our time in you?
mm,
And just getting that right is tough. But um, I think the one thing that I would say is my fondest memory of that journey. It has to be the 4,000, 5,000 consumer calls that I did, where I spoke to
mm,
these leaders myself, where I understood from them, how were they feeling about the products
mm.
that they were using, what was their experience, if they had to change anything about it, what would that be? Sorry.
Don't worry, I've been struggling with this cough also for the last few days, so it
I just
seems
landed
always
yesterday,
goes around.
and the weather, I think, is just taking a toll on me, especially my throat, but that's okay. And I think, so going back to the times when I was having those conversations, back in the time when you were in that founding stage, you feel that you have lesser hours in a day, and 24 hours are
Mm,
actually very less for you to complete the things, the task list that you have for yourself. And during those conversations, what I realized was when I spoke to these moms, only 10% conversations were around my business or what I wanted to seek out of them. And
mm,
90% of the time, we were talking about health of the child, early
mm,
parenthood problems,
mm,
what meals are we serving, what are we cooking, do we have help
mm,
or not, cribbing about our husbands, cribbing about the family and not having enough support, and talking about how when the baby is not born, everybody says we will take care of the baby once he's here or once she's here, and once the baby is born, nobody shows up. 90% of the conversations were around everything off topic that I wanted to talk to them about.
mm,
Uh, but that connection that I developed with these moms, and they
mm,
were influential in their own way because at least they were speaking about it publicly. They had their own blogs. At that point of time,
mm,
there were written blogs that they used to publish. They
mm,
had these mini circles that they, sit in, and where they had open conversations about parenthood. I think
mm,
during time was the first time when I realized that there was something known as postpartum depression that I
mm,
had gone through, but I hadn't
mm,
even realized. And
mm,
it's a real thing. And when I read about them, because these moms educated me about that,
mm,
is when I understood that, okay, whatever I was feeling was valid. Um, and I think a lot of our product ideas came out
mm,
of this off topic conversation
mm,
rather than on topic conversation, because on
mm.
topic, I'm using this lotion, I don't like
Yeah.
this, it causes irritation. But the other balanced part of the conversation actually told
Mm,
me that they trusted their moms far
mm,
more than anyone else. They trusted fellow moms far more than
mm,
they trusted brands. They
mm,
actually trusted the DIY recipes and the Indian homemade ingredients far more than the foreign brands because they believe that it works. One of our best selling early products was this tummy roll on that we created out
mm,
of hing, fennel, coconut
mm,
oil. Um, and that came out of these DIY recipes that moms were
mm,
using at home on their babies because there was
mm,
nothing else available for colic
mm,
apart from just drinking right water, and they were not comfortable giving that. So I think when we are talking to our consumers, we have to approach them as another human being that you're ideating probably your brand with, and you have to go off topic to get some of those insights because
mm,
that forms the basis of what Mama Earth is today. I think
mm,
not just limited to Mama Earth. Now we have 6 brands in our portfolio. Even my
mm,
second largest brand, which is Dermaco, uh,
mm,
actually came out of these problems where there were serious skin concerns which regular beauty products could not solve. And outside of India, people were importing products like active ingredients like 10% niacinamide serum or a salicylic acid. And in India, these products were only available through a dermatological channel. So you had to go to a dermatologist, they would prescribe products, you go to the pharmacy, they will give you that product. Half the time they're available, half the time they're not available, and obnoxiously expensive. And when we
mm,
understood the entire category code, because some of these consumers raised that with us, we realized that okay, you don't like it is actually very, very affordable, and these ingredients are
mm,
very widely available in the pharma channel in
mm,
India. It's
mm,
just that somebody has to make it available through the cosmetic channel, and the
mm,
ingredients are. So I think most of the brand ideas, most of the product ideas, my third brand Aqualogica, which is based on sunscreens as a format, came from consumers where the adoption of sunscreen in the Indian market was so low because
mm,
people felt that it's sticky and it's oily. India is a
mm,
hot and humid weather, right? Most of the time. We
mm,
don't apply
mm,
anything that's thick that makes us sweat. So
mm,
Aqualogica came up with a very light, fluid sunscreen texture, which is
mm,
easy to absorb, leaves no white cast, and that brand did really well.
mm,
So I would undoubtedly say if you have to waste your time, waste it with your consumers because you never know what are those insights that are going to come out of it. Listen to them, hear them out. You might have a certain questionnaire, go with that, of course, have that conversation. But what they say outside of that questionnaire and the
mm,
topics that they touch upon needs to be equally relevant and applicable for your brand's journey,
mm.
store, product building, etc. And that is where, those nitty gritties are where the magic lies.
No, I mean, so well said. Where do you spend your time as a founder? If possible, spend it as much as you can spare with customers. I'm taking that away from you. That should probably be put on a daily mirror, right? And you use the word colic, and it took me back into real memories, though 30 years ago. And moms who have experienced a colic child will never forget what that was like. So I hear you, and asking mom to, what do I do with this crying baby? Everybody has gone through that, right? So I'm going to intersperse some questions also from our audience. In summary, Roli, one of our audiences here is asking, what created a lasting impact on Mama Earth's identity? And I think some of that you already answered actually, but I didn't know if you wanted to share anything more with her on that question.
I think one of the things that really gave Mamaearth its identity was bringing ingredients which were natural and core to India to mainstream
Mm,
beauty industry.
mm,
Uh, Ingredients like Upton face pack or Utna, as we call it in
yeah,
Maharashtra or some of the other
yeah.
countries, right, which is basically a mixture of curd, basin, turmeric, saffron, etc. Uh, like almost 50% of India uses it as a DIY mask at home. Our mothers have used it on us to remove tanning, to give us that brighter skin, right? But none of these larger companies would ever link themselves to traditional ingredients like these and bring it into the mainstream industry by making it convenient for the consumers. And Mamaearth did that, be it our rice water face wash that we brought in, or like the hing roll on, that I just gave an example of, a natural mosquito repellent that can be used on skin, which is a mixture of lemongrass and citronella oil. Like so many people who have this problem use this as a mixture of oil at home, and we I think that is what gave Mamaearth its identity, and that was the point of difference, that no other brand has been able to establish these ingredients on the scale, as good for consumers by bringing in the convenience. Because like every 5 years, we see trends change, we see times change, we see consumer behavior change. I think when we incepted Mamaearth, what we were seeing was that there were a lot of, because we were parents ourselves, and who you are the kind of people that you resonate with a lot. We were working parents, and we saw a lot of working parents around us going through that trouble of raising the kid, working, and then also taking care of themselves, where the time to build some of these recipes at home was a problem. They didn't have that,
Yeah.
be it for their child, be it for themselves. And that was the small problem that we identified. And we said, can we solve that problem for these parents? Because these are parents
Mm,
like us. I want to use an Upton face mask probably 3 times in a week, but I don't have the time to prepare it because
mm,
all my time goes in work and then the baby and then the home. Um, so I think we just solved that one very targeted problem for the consumers.
mm,
They were able to relate with it. They were able to have conversations with us. One thing that I never gave up, which we do till now as a company, and we are a large company now, each employee does that, is call our consumers quarterly. So each employee calls our consumers quarterly just to take feedback from them on the products that they've bought from us. And back in the time, we were the only brand who were doing that, as told to us
mm,
by our consumers. They said
mm,
we've interacted with so many brands, but nobody calls us to check with us that, okay, did the product work for you or not? And the fact
mm,
that you're asking us, there would be certain consumers who would talk to us for hours and hours together
mm,
just to share their experience. And then they were the ones who were giving us new product ideas as well. I think you should do this
mm,
next. I think this is something that
mm,
we are looking for. And Mamaearth's
mm,
entire innovation funnel was built on that. And that's one of the reasons, because the ideas came from the consumers, the brand saw a lot of success
mm.
as well. Faster success. It's the fastest 2,000 crore brand in India. Uh, the
Yes.
second brand that is fastest 2,000 crores took 18 years. So I think it was all about having that right connection and listening, like as important as it gets. Just listen to them, and they will tell you what to do next. I think we follow that even today.
But Ghazal, you make it sound logical and simple. But I know, uh, being involved in so many companies, this virtuous circle of customer insight, product, brand, distribution, and revenue is anything but a simple circle, as the vertex gets faster, faster, bigger, right? But you have continued to do that. So, is it systems, processes, internal team alignment? Because you could be listening to customers, but that doesn't always talking to customers, but that doesn't always translate into right products and revenue. So while what you did is of course logical and sounds simple, the repeatability of that for other founders is not as simple at all, right? So how do others do what you have done?
See, Vani, I'll make it okay, by talking about my mistakes as well. I think that'll make it look not just look, but just talking about failures gets us to understand that it was not all happy and glory and easy at the same time, right? When we created a business plan for Mamaearth between Varun and I, and the first deck that we presented to our investors, it talked about the fact that Mamaearth will always be a baby brand, and we will
Mm,
get into different categories within the baby segment, like feeding bottles, diapers,
mm,
and milk and food for them, etc. Then we said that, okay, because mothers are also our consumers, they told us
mm,
that they needed something natural for acidity relief, because that happens when
mm,
you're pregnant. They need
mm,
something that helps them sleep better, because with a new child, sleep becomes a
mm,
problem and they're not able to relax mentally. And we entered those categories. We launched something called Mama's traditional recipe as a product within Mamaearth, which were, these antacid teas and these tablets. And we entered the market, consumers were receiving us well, we were doing, good business, which made a lot of sense at that point of time. But during some of these consumer connects that we made, we realized that the new consumers who we were recruiting, and any brand growth journey is about recruiting new consumers, they were not able to relate with this category that we had entered, because they thought that we are all about personal care, we are all about application on skin. Now, for a brand who's all about application on skin, how can we trust you with something to eat?
That's
And that,
ingestible.
yes, and that insight was large enough for us to go back to the drawing board and think strategically that is this what we want to really do or be? Because if it's consuming our early consumers right now and we are at a smaller base, what would happen if the brand grows? We looked about, other examples within the industry, national, international. We realized nobody is doing that. People have to establish their expertise in one domain before they expand into different domains. And that's the time when we took that risk. And at that point of time, that business was doing 50 lakhs, but we said that we are not going to continue it. So that is also a risk that we took. For 2 months, our business numbers went down, but we were okay taking that risk because we could see a much larger potential in the long-term strategy that we were building. We said, okay, personal care, but not just for babies, for adults as well, because that is also a product that consumers were asking for. And I think that pivot worked for us. Had we not taken that pivot and had we been very stringent about the plan that we had crafted on that deck and paper, and like you're absolutely right, a lot of us do consumer inciting work. We also built that deck after talking to almost 4,000, 5,000 parents, right? But being okay with being wrong, I feel, is also something that we like as founders we should accept that not every time will we be right. So that was the first mistake that we did, but we corrected it. It took us about, whatever, 3 4 months to then get back to the trajectory. We entered into adult personal care. We started with shampoos and body lotions for moms. They received it really well, but then because we were talking to parents, the father started saying that why not product for fathers? Why just, moms? Because we also hold the baby, like we also need toxin free products. Then we said that, okay, we did like one special edition kit just to check the market, just to test the market. We launched 50 units of Father's Day, on Father's Day, we launched a Papa special kit. And in 1 hour, it flew. And then again had to take a call, whether it's adult only for women or for both men and women. We went back to the drawing board. We came to a realization that while building formulas, the ingredients are not very different for males and for females. And then we had to take a call as a brand that while we are known for moms and babies, will it be right for us to say that, okay, we will just label it as men but have the same ingredients and same formulations for men and women both? And that's the time when we call that, no, let's be Mama Earth. Let's be about natural ingredients, toxin free propositions, following all the guidelines that US and Europe has set in terms of usage of ingredients. Let's go with that philosophy, but let's build products for everyone. So I think at every stage you have these, like you get those insights. You always have a decision to make. Sometimes you make the right decision, sometimes you make the wrong decisions, but not being too married to either the right one or the wrong one, and being flexible about what is it that we are listening, what is it that we are hearing, what do we think is the right step as the right next step, and testing. Like more often than not, we have actually tested it out. We have never said that, okay, this is how I feel and this is the right direction as founders. Again, between Varun and I, we can have different thoughts, right? We are not,
Opinions, yeah.
yes, in agreement. We have our own conflicts. And the only thing that helps us solve those conflicts is actually testing it out and coming back with results so that the data speaks for itself and it's not us. That helps us not be in disagreement, and that also helps us test on a smaller scale and come back with data and then take that route. So I think it's a
Yeah,
long.
the one of the hardest things for founders, of course, is knowing when to let go of something because you love everything. It's every product is your baby, and you've poured so much into it, and then to look at data and wrap your emotion, not your emotion, but reason around
Yeah.
it is not always easy. Kudos that you have done that systematically in such a balanced way, and I think it's a very big message for any founder or aspiring founder to take away. But Ghazal, 2023 must be a special year, right? I'm sure it'll always stay the year. If I'm correct, you went IPO, and anyone who starts a company, that's, of course, it's not the end, but it is a milestone. You just pause and look back. It's a very proud moment. So, from where you started, what can you share about what that felt like for you? Or is it just a day in life of building Mama Earth? And then when you pause there and think about how far then we go, now the dreams stretch, right? What does that look like for Mama Earth? You go global, you go into other categories. How do you keep self inventing yourself?
I think, one, like you rightly said, the goals at different times, it's just different goals that you start chasing. I think, um, on our pitch deck, we did mention that in 10 years we want to go public. I think we didn't even know the meaning of going public back in the back in
Mm,
that time, right? We just
mm,
put it down on the deck that this is an aspiration that we have, but we did not truly understand the meaning of it.
mm,
On the pitch deck, we had mentioned 10 years. We were able to take the company public in 8 years. But again, as like taken this journey as a founder of building the company, going public was not something that we were chasing until 2 years before actually going public.
mm,
Like I said, it was always about smaller milestones and smaller goals. When somebody used to ask us, "What is your 5 year vision?" Like even today, I'm like, okay, we are chasing a certain dream, but I don't know if that's my vision. Will it change? Will it not change? Because the environment changes so rapidly, the consumer changes so rapidly, and the hypothesis that I have today or whatever plan I built today might or might not work. So, and hence, every year we are changing, constantly revamping, re-evolving our strategies, and we were doing
mm,
that even earlier as well. Um,
mm,
Initially, I think it used to be every month, then it went to 3 months, then it went to 6 months, 1 year, now it's 2 years. But that's how the timeline changes. It's never that you'll
mm,
eventually know what do you want to be or where do you want to be in 5 years.
mm,
um,
mm,
I think when we decided to go public, it was, uh, the business was doing really well, the business was growing,
mm,
there was a lot of consumer love, our numbers felt to be, absolutely in line with what our assumptions were. We also felt that this is something that we can predict over the next 4 to 5 years, and hence give the markets that assurance that whatever we are promising we'll be able to deliver. And that's how we took that call. It wasn't a need, but it was that, okay, at this stage, if I have to give an exit to my current investors, and that's a big thing, right? You have to honor those commitments as well. This seemed to be the right vehicle to opt for at that point of time, and that's how we took that decision. It was never about, um, whether we want to go public or not. It was always about when do we feel we are ready enough to go
ready to.
public. The assumption that we had before going public was that public investors are long term and they bet on you for, maybe
Mm,
5 years, 7 years, etc.,
mm.
which didn't pan out the way I realized that, okay, long term investors mean not going short on you.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think like that entire process of going public and after that running a public company has been a roller coaster ride for us. There have been so many
yes,
assumptions that we had that did not pan out the way they were. There were a lot of things in business that we thought that we had clarity on it, which did not turn out to be the way it was. Uh, but we are committed, right? Because we don't
mm,
know anything better to do between Varun and
mm,
I. I think we love what we
mm,
are doing right now. Um,
mm,
and at a certain stage you realize that it's not about money anymore. You're comfortable in your life, you've made enough, to live the life the way you wanted. Now it's more about a choice. Until the
mm,
time you're making that choice that you still
mm,
want to do this shows you how committed you are towards that idea.
mm,
I think we started with one brand. In the last 8 years, we now have six brands. All of those brands are on different growth trajectory. I still have a lot more ideas, and I've still identified a lot more white spaces that I'm working on with my team to build. I still want to do that. And ultimately, I want to ensure that for India, keeping Indian weather in mind, Indian skin in mind, Indian hair in mind, everything
mm,
in India, we are able to build a company that is Honasa, which is the most loved Indian company by Indian consumers, not just in India, but anywhere globally.
mm,
And I'm actually waiting for that day when Mamaearth opens up its first store, probably in US or Europe somewhere, and there's a long line, and all those people are asking for Upton face mask because it's a
mm.
traditional Indian recipe and they want to take away their
Yeah,
tan.
yeah.
I think now, as like from an aspiration perspective, those are the things that I look forward to.
Mm,
Apart
mm,
from, of course, scaling the brands, because till the time it's fun, it's good. When it
mm,
gets tough, we bring ourselves back to why we started. We remind ourselves of the goals and the visions that we have, and we still continue to solve the problems. It's not an
mm,
easy journey. You don't love every day of it. It's tough. It is full of days when you question yourself, like we talked about the doubts that we have on ourselves. It's full of days when you're wondering, do you still want to be at it? Do you still want to do it? But I feel if the answer comes out to be yes, while you have other
mm,
opportunities of taking other routes, I think it's okay. As a founder, you need that conviction. If that conviction is not coming, then I feel there has to be another route. There has to be more procrastination on what should you do next. But till the time that answer is
mm.
yes, I feel that it's okay. They will continue to build and they'll continue to scale and overcome the problems that are there in business as well.
So, Ghazal, there is lots of questions on you. Do you think there is still opportunity for other startups to achieve what you have, and what advice would you give founders? Or will Mama Earth be such a large company that there's no opportunity for others?
Oh God, Mamaearth will always be a large company, and Mamaearth
Of
will always
course.
always continue to set newer standards and newer
Right,
benchmarks. I think that is something that I that I live for. It's like I think with Mamaearth as a brand, it's more of it's more I feel it's more of now my identity than just the brand identity,
right,
and that's where
right.
I am, which is not very good. But I still feel there is a lot more opportunity for other founders as
Yes.
well. There are a lot of white spaces that still need to be tapped on. uh, the environment is changing, the consumer is changing, the ways of doing business are changing. There are a lot
Mm,
of new young age founders, new age founders as well, who are coming and doing a fantastic job, and they are the people that I look up to personally as well.
mm,
We created a certain playbook, and we executed it in a certain manner, but that
mm,
might not necessarily be the only way to scale brands.
mm,
I see young founders coming in and showing a new way as well.
mm,
And that excites me because that makes
mm.
me learn something new, and that tickles
Yeah,
the mind equally, saying, okay, what else, like what more, or could this be done like this as well?
yeah.
Lots more opportunities. I think you need to identify the right industry, the right white space within that, which
Mm,
is not just your idea, but it's a real consumer problem that you are solving,
mm,
or it's driving convenience. I feel most of the ideas lie between
mm,
solving a consumer problem or giving them convenience, and these
mm.
ideas somehow fly. So till the time it's in these two buckets, I feel opportunity opportunity is there for sure.
So, Ghazal, I have a tricky question that several people have asked me to ask you. Okay. And I agree with the question. Many successful women lately, but also always, have talked about how their success gets shadowed when they also have a successful spouse, right? And I'm sure you've faced this. What do you advise on how to handle it?
Hmm. I I would say I felt a bit of it in the early days of starting the company because when you're two founders and one comes with a lot of experience, which in my case was Varun, he came from an extensive, FMCG experience, and he knew all the buzzwords and all the abbreviations, which I did not. And I brought a very different side to the company, which was more about product and instincts and parenthood, etc.
Customer discussions.
Customer discussion was something that I picked up. Like back in the day, again, if you have to bucketize it, it still falls in the marketing, which is an experience that
Mm,
Varun had, right?
mm,
It was tough, not just tough to some extent. At times, it felt demotivating as well. But like I said earlier in the conversation, it's always one feeling that helps you overcome another feeling,
mm,
right? So in case of self doubt, I think excitement helps you overcome self doubt. In this case, where you wouldn't feel equal enough or good enough, or possibly you feel that the other person is overshadowing you. I don't know what are the terms that we use for it, but I always realized that working, putting my ideas down, testing it, and showing success or showing proof of the pudding through my actions helped me get that confidence back, and
mm,
also helped other people get convinced that okay, she is getting something more to the table than we think.
mm,
And that was relevant not just with the investors, not just with the business partners, but even with the audience who's watching you. So one thing that I
mm,
started doing very early on was I started speaking about my journey as a founder, being a
mm,
mom,
mm,
because I felt that I had heard a lot of comments like आप बच्चे संभाल लो पहले, आप काम
mm,
बाद में देख लेना, right?
mm,
Or you're just a mother, like what do you know about business, what do you know about marketing, do you even understand a product life cycle, is this just superficial, or have you done the detailed work, etc., etc. Kind of comments, they're normal, they did come my
mm,
way as well. And just putting your brain down, working. And at that point of
mm,
time, you can take two different directions, get bogged down by whatever you're hearing and say that, okay, okay, I'm not worth it, probably I shouldn't be doing this. I
mm.
have said that also a couple of times. Or
To
you could
yourself.
say to myself, not just to
Mm,
myself, to
mm,
even because Varun was very close to me. We
mm,
were best friends
mm,
who started a company together. I don't think we were husband and wife who started a company together, but best friends who
mm,
started a company together.
mm,
I was very, very comfortable in sharing how I was feeling with him. So
mm,
there was one aspect which was that side of it, and then there was another aspect which is where you get that realization that of course they don't want you to do this,
mm,
and you don't do this. Then who's winning? They are winning. Or you show
mm,
them the other
mm,
side. You show
mm,
them what you're capable of, and
mm,
you talk about your
mm,
journey.
mm,
There were episodes which happened even while we were taking the company public, where one of the people,
mm,
while I was sitting on the table, asked Varun that if she wasn't your wife, would you still do it with her? I
mm,
was right there at that table, right?
mm.
And I didn't say
Hello,
anything.
I'm here. Yeah,
I mean, I did not say anything, and
yeah.
my CFO was there, Varun was
Mm,
there, and they were the ones who stood up from their chairs and they said, you know what? In some cases, we take a call, and in this case, we've already taken a call. We don't want a partner. And we left the
mm,
room. So,
mm,
and that was such a proud moment for me because there was the first time where I did not have to speak for myself, but there were people who were
mm,
speaking for me. And I
mm,
think you have to come to that level. You have to
mm,
openly show them what you're capable of and
mm,
talk about the goods and talk about
mm,
the bad and be your biggest cheerleader. Because if
mm,
you don't speak about yourself, nobody else will.
mm,
If
mm,
you do the work and show it to the world that this is something that I've accomplished, they will realize. And in my
mm,
journey, I think what I've realized is a lot of women had this doubt that, oh, now that we've become a mother, we can't be ambitious, we can't take this role
mm,
up, we can't start a new brand. And in the last at least 5 years, I have, and this is one of the things that I'm the most proud of. I have 15
mm,
moms in my circle who've started
mm,
something new because they felt that
mm,
if you can do it, I can do it too.
mm,
And that's what I take away. So,
mm,
There will be times, there will be those, but how do
mm,
you treat your own self when you
mm,
look at yourself in the mirror? How do you speak to your own self?
mm,
How does your subconscious treat you as a person? Does
mm,
it treat you with respect, with confidence? Or is your own inner voice always pulling you down, saying, oh, you
mm,
did this wrong, oh, you did not? It has a lot to do with that. Once you train
mm,
your inner voice to speak to yourself in a certain way and be kind to
mm.
yourself, I think the journey becomes easier. And then
I
other
think
people are.
each one of this is a real masterclass by itself that should be listened to on a loop. Ghazal, I think this is so authentic, so real, and somehow you have figured this out. And but some people are stuck in trying to get there or get there too late, right? So I'm really so proud that you have it so much together. Some of these core answers. But I'm going to shift to a question that someone has, and I think this is important because it's another myth. Can you really build a purpose driven brand but also be profitable in business? And this is like the mom thing, another myth. So I want you to comment on this. I hear this not just in this session, but I hear this a lot when I'm talking to founders. They think they have to be in one or the other. So I really, you're very driven by purpose, but you've also built a legitimate business. So I really want you to comment on this.
It's
It may be
slightly.
an Indian mindset. Sometimes we think purpose means poverty or something. I don't know, but I want you
I
to
don't think
comment
it
on this.
means that, right? So purpose is one thing and business is one thing, right? Passion is another thing. So I would say these are three different buckets. Which of these buckets do you want to combine, or do you want to combine them at all or not, is a call that we need to take as founders. For example, my passion is painting. I'm a trained artist from US, but that was what I was doing before I started Mamaearth. I was selling
Mm,
my works nationally, internationally, and making making good, decent money.
mm,
But then when the idea of Mamaearth struck to me, I was okay giving up on my passion. Now that was a combination of my passion, which was also helping me earn money profitably, and hence passion plus business. But
mm,
when I started Mamaearth, the purpose of crafting something for the babies, right, for my own
mm,
child, for all the babies of India, and giving them something that they do not have, was a purpose that I had.
mm,
That might or might not be my passion, that might or might not be my business, but
mm,
that was my purpose, right? I
mm,
felt that I'll be
mm,
doing good if I did that.
mm,
Now, combining that with business was a choice that I made. And hence, when
mm,
I started thinking about business, some of the fundamentals that Varun made me understand, okay,
mm,
fundamentals around what a gross margin is, fundamental around what is a P&L, how does it
mm,
account for,
mm,
fundamentals around what is the cost of making a product, how do you arrive on an MRP, what are the gross margins, what all does gross margin take care of, how does it help you scale the business, etc. Now that's all business aspect of it, and I had to understand that as well to
mm,
eventually have a profitable business. So I think it is more about the choices that we need to make as founders. It's
mm,
um at a I'm very sure that in a few cases it might be a trade-off as well. That okay, I
mm,
want purpose-driven business. I'm okay
mm,
letting go of the profits to a certain piece, but then that's a call that
mm,
you're taking, and they need to build the plan accordingly. In
mm,
other cases, you might feel that okay, I'm here to build a business. I'm here to make money, and hence, if it is not in line with the passion that I have or with the purpose that I'm okay letting go that aspect of it. I'm sure these are choices that one needs to make, but being very clear about each of these and being able to differentiate one from the
mm,
other and say that okay, this is the trade-off that I'm okay with, or these two things are
mm.
coming together by themselves, and hence I want to do that, is something worth understanding. Uh, I mean, for me,
No,
it
I
just.
think the way you have unearthed it, is really fantastic, actually. And I think it's that confusion in the head, uh, and you put it very nicely.
Thank you.
So, Ghazal, I know we have very limited time, and you are such a not just a inspiring leader, a woman leader, mom, but you're also a style icon, you know. And so, what is a style tip you would offer? I would want one because I never bother. So, how do you
Uh,
do it?
Actually, I don't think I try because fashion is honestly something that I love.
You're
Um,
passionate about.
even outside of now beauty and personal care, the other brand that I've invested in and started with two more founders is Underneath, which is in the fashion space, which is all about
Mm,
shapewear for women
mm,
in India. Again,
mm.
Indian bodies first, because everything else is international bodies first, and we are very different. We are curvaceous, and we need different,
Yes.
different kind of shapewear. But um, I don't think I'm an icon as such, not at all. I just try different things.
You are.
Um,
So please accept that, and then
uh, no, but I would say that
and some of it I can see has rubbed off on Varun also. So
I am very happy to hear that. Thank you. That's a compliment that I'll take. But I think what I've realized is dress dress up in a way that you feel the most you. A lot of
Mm,
times we see someone wearing a certain style and we just want to copy it. It could be a
mm,
celebrity, it could be a person at work, it could
mm,
be a person that we admire, it could be a person that we are jealous of, and we just want to look like them, which
mm,
not necessarily works for you all the time. I think it's very important to understand how do you want to see yourself in the mirror, what
mm,
pleases your own eyes, because once you
mm,
do that, you there's a person that comes along which is, and with that confidence another person comes along which is your smile. And if I have to give one style tip, I would say never leave the house without these two friends, which is your confidence and your smile, because these are the ones that make you the most beautiful. And anything else which helps you accessorize, by taking these two along, is what you should wear. You should be happy about what you see in the mirror. You should be happy about how you feel when you wear certain accessories, certain dress, certain fits. Choose what flatters your body rather than what flatters or looks good on someone else. But that's about it. I still do so much experimentation on myself because I want to be so many people at the same time. So many different outfits, so many different styles. Some days you want to be like, dressed in ethnic and Indian wear. Times you want to be dressed in Western, and then you want to wear a hat or a cap. But if smile and confidence are not coming along with you, then you know there's a problem.
amazing. I think we can all do that. Take our smile and take our confidence with us. I think that's a great tip. So, what's your style buster, Ghazal? It must be, I'm sorry, stress buster. I'm so wrapped up in style.
I was
Brain
also
is
thinking, what
sticking.
is my style
I
buster?
know, I know. Glad the brain started working. But what's your stress buster? Because stress is a part of the job you do. And I'm going to go grab a cough syrup because now I'm coughing, but you answer that.
Yes, please. So everyone else out there, I think my biggest stress busters are my kids. I know it sounds insane. I know a lot of moms wouldn't agree to it. They're the ones who give us a lot of stress as well. How can they be your stress busters? But trust me, I just I just become one of them when I'm with my kids, and that helps me. It just takes my mind away out of my body. I feel it takes me back to those times when you are unbothered about anything and everything, and you are okay spilling water on the floor, and you're okay eating food in a dirty way. I just took a vacation with my kids, and it was the best time. They didn't let me touch the phone at all. I was allowed, so they were the one giving me permission to use a device, and I was given just 1 hour a day. So it was a true break from work. Um, but they are the ones, and I think other than that, um, having a conversation again with Varun usually helps lower my stress, because at least he and I have a kind of relationship where we can take off all of our masks. We are not bothered by being judged, being criticized, being, like in any way bothered about who's listening and how are they listening or how are they perceiving. Um, and our relationship also has taken a lot of work. I mean, just for people who feel that it comes very easy, it has taken us a lot of time to come to a stage where we are at today, where I can say all of these things about both of us. A lot of conversations, a lot of hard conversations, a lot of emotional conversations. Um, a, letting go of a lot of ego at different amounts of time, different points of time, prioritizing each other. But these two things help. I think other than that, spending time with myself. Reading is a very, very good escape. Reading fiction is an even better escape because reading, and I give fiction.
Fantasy.
Yes, I give fiction to myself as a treat, saying, you just tell yourself you deserve it, and just go in some other world. I read a lot of self-help books. Read a lot of CEO biographies as well. But I feel that gives you far more food for thought. And if you're already stressed and you're reading some of that, it might end up stressing you a little more because you feel that, okay, now these are the five things also that I'm not doing or whatever. But fiction helps you transport to a different world. I think just getting ready. Sometimes out of nowhere, I will just wash my face, sit in front of the mirror, and just do my own makeup, and that helps. It's just kind of a blur, and it because I am not painting anymore. Otherwise, that was like
The
that's
therapy.
my real goal that I want to do. I want to get back to painting again.
I think what you and Varun have is so unusual and rare, not just from a business perspective, that of course, but just even as a couple. I think you should do together a lot of what it took to make it happen, because it is magic, but it's also work. Work creates magic. So I think you owe it to the world can be a better place in understanding how to try and achieve that.
I'm gonna
If
take that
and you
idea. Let me try and do that. I do
you
a little
must.
bit on my, at least on my Instagram. I do a little bit of
Yes.
it because I get a lot of questions on how do you guys make it, and people feel that it's not real and it might be fake, etc. But that's a very good suggestion. Thank you, Vani. I'm gonna try and do
But the
that.
work that goes behind it, see, one can see the image, right?
Yeah.
And but what went into making that happen, because nothing is just handed on a platter, and it's the work that went into getting there. That's sort of the
Absolutely.
mystery. And even if people can take 10% of it and
Yeah.
apply, we will all be living better lives for
And
ourselves.
it's
I'm going to
continuous
close with
work. It's
one.
not like you do it once and you're done. It's a continuous process.
Yeah, because every person is changing, always changing. Situations, circumstances, everything changes. So a good marriage takes work every day. So, but I want to close with so many people admire you, Ghazal. You know that, of course, you receive some of that love directly through your audiences in your social media and so forth. But who do you admire and why?
I admire
And
so
don't say
many.
Varun, we know that already. So,
I do admire him as well. But I think, so I would say anybody who understands me would know that I'm a very, very simple person and I enjoy simplifying things rather than complicating them. And that goes in my, the way I work, the way I look up to people as well. I don't have a list of people that I admire because I admire so many that
mm,
it has to be a list when it's limited, right?
mm,
Um, but I would say that, um, like I admire Indra Nui for whatever she has achieved. I
of
admire on
course.
the other hand Priyanka Chopra for the way she has built career 2.0
Yeah,
from the scratch by auditioning and
yeah.
the kind of grit that she has. Um, I I would admire Sudha Murthy for
mm,
the values that she holds so highly of her, and the way she has helped even Narayan Murthy in his journey is it's admirable. But other than that, I would say the two women that I've taken the most inspiration from, I still do till date, are both my moms, my mother
mm,
and my mother-in-law. My mother for raising me to be who I am today,
mm,
for asking me to take on opportunities which she always wanted to take, but she never got a
mm,
chance.
mm,
For going against the family that I came from, and standing her ground that I'm going to educate my daughters and they are going
mm,
to do whatever they want in their lives,
mm,
even if that meant stepping out of the family with my father.
mm,
Um, the way she changed the thought process that my dad had, because he came from a certain background, I think I admire a lot of that in her. Even today, she's far more on top of what's happening in the world than me. So, while staying at home and always being a stay at home mother. I admire my mother-in-law a lot. She has had a long career of 35 years. She went out to work every single day with a big smile on her face. She actually brought up the entire family from, having just five saris in her wardrobe at one point of time to then having a very, very comfortable lifestyle that she was able to give to her family. So I think there are, even today, like she's the wind beneath my wings. She's the one taking care
mm,
of my kids while I can disproportionately spend time at work and sorting other
mm,
things out. Uh, they are real, real people that I see every day
mm,
making choices that help them and their families and being very happy about it.
mm.
On the other hand, of course, there's Varun who's taught me in and out of business, still continues to we brainstorm, and then there comes a time when now I'm able to give him a tough competition on arguments, and he's like, "मैंने सिखाया था ना ये तुझे," but conversation about it and saying, "Yeah, but okay, whatever." I think it's more about these people who I look up to, um, and they're the ones who make your life a better place. Otherwise, there can be a lot of people on the list that you admire, but you'll never know the real life that they're living. You'll never know the real struggles, the in and outs of it. I
Mm,
only get to know about them when I read about them, but that also I know is just, probably 2% of the life that they've lived. I take inspiration from people who work in my office. I think I have
mm,
hired so many people who are smarter than me, and I'm
mm,
so proud of that. That
mm,
every day having a conversation with each one of them is learning something new, and that helps me, uh, you know like exponentially increase my knowledge and understanding of things as well. So yeah, like.
Ghazal, one interesting observation as we close. When I talk to women about, who is somebody that you admire, so many times the mother, mother-in-law, a strong personal female figure that they're connected to comes into their conversation as it would for me also. But it isn't usually the case on how men share an answer to that question. So, behind every successful women, I always think they're standing on the shoulders of some strong women that created the legacy for them. So,
Absolutely.
so to moms who have made it happen for so many of us by inspiring and making us be who we are. But Ghazal, I've so loved this authenticity, complete honesty. I knew that was your personality, but this was just beyond what I expected, and I don't know where the time went by. I've enjoyed it so much, and like I said, there are so many nuggets that should be in a loop. I'm gonna try and see how founders can really focus on the gems that I think you cast into this long, free flowing conversation. But I really appreciate you being able to just share your feelings so openly with all of us. This is a uh, feels like a family room conversation in a lounge, right? So, and less like a business conversation. And I think from what I'm receiving as feedback, everybody admires you, and everybody admires this ability you have. to be so authentic despite all the success. And I would really want to continue to see you and Varun set new heights, and I, but many other people I know, are cheering you along for that.
Thank you so much, Vani. Thank you. You're really kind with your words. Thank you so much. And I hope it. I think the only way you're able to build connection is by really sharing what happened in real rather than just talking textbook. And that's the only thing that I do. It might not be as professional as it should be for a LinkedIn conversation, but then hey, that's how I feel and that's
You
how
are
I
being
think.
authentic, you, right?
Absolutely, unapologetically who I am, and
Yeah.
yeah, it helps people who are listening to this conversation.
I know that many people will keep this in their memory for a very, very long time. And I really appreciate you taking the time and paying it forward, Ghazal.
Thank you so
And I
much,
haven't
Vani.
told you, but there's something beautiful about the word Ghazal too. I think it's a lovely name.
My nanny gave it to me.
Ah,
Yeah,
she
I
must
love
love
her.
ghazals. So, yeah, ghazals, gazelle.
Asha.
All right. Take care. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day. Thank
You
you
too,
for
Vani.
doing it.
It was
Wonderful
good.
session. Bye. Bye to everybody who's been on this. And let us know if you have questions for Ghazal. We'll try to see if we can get answers from her uh, in a Q&A. And but let us know how you like the session. Thank you.